Now that you've connected the liquid crystal display to the Arduino, we want to talk about how to program it. Because I'm using a simulation, my LCD or liquid crystal display needs to be connected with wires. In your case, you don't see these wires because you have put the liquid crystal display right on top of the Arduino. You could also use the wiring, but it's easier to just put it right on top. So you can ignore the wires. Now we are ready to display a message on the liquid crystal display. The message that we want to show first is something like this: Hello World. This is a bigger picture of the LCD, so if you look close enough, you are going to see these little pockets onto your LCD or liquid crystal display. Now, just realize that I want to put the Hello World like this, so I want to make a code that types anything that I want onto the LCD. Before we do that, you gotta kind of have to understand how the LCD works. The LCD is like a screen, and it has these little pockets. Look, this is one pocket, this is another pocket, this is another pocket. You kind of see these rectangles that represent where the letter can be shown. So you cannot put a letter in between the pockets. Each letter should go in its own pocket. So to understand again how the LCD pockets work, the LCD that you guys have has got 32 pockets. There are 16 pockets in the first row, and there are 16 pockets in the second row. And you got to realize that there are numbers for each of these pockets. So for example, if I start with the columns, this is column 0, and remember this starts from 0. This is column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Because I started from column 0 and go all the way to 15, that means there is a total of 16 columns in here. 0 is the first one, number 1 is the second one, third one, fourth one, and all the way to the 16th one. I also have 2 rows. This is the first row, or row number 0, and this is the second row, which is row number 1. So for example, if I want to know where H is in the column 0 and row 0. E is in column 1, row 0. L is in column 2, row 0. Now if you want to put something down here, for example, it would be in column number 2 and row number 1. The reason it's important to realize this is because when you try to write messages on the LCD or the liquid crystal display, you need to know where you want to put your letters, or at least you need to know where you want to start typing it. For example, in my case, I have written in the first row, or row number 0. You could write it in row number 1. So let's get back to the programming. If I count all the columns and rows, I have a total of 16 columns, and I have a total of 2 rows. Again, I have 16 columns, and I have 2 rows. So remember that 16 column 2 number. Going back to the programming, to do the programming of the LCD or liquid crystal display, there is something we need to use called a library. The libraries make our life easier. When we use a library, there is a lot of things that's done for us before, and all we have to do is get to the real programming. A lot of how the LCD works, how it's connected, and that kind of stuff is already taken care of in the library. To use an LCD or liquid crystal library, we're going to start from before setup. So remember, your program is like this, starts like void setup. You got to go before V and put a couple of enters, then start at the top. And just difference is that I am using a simulator, so my code is written down here. In your case, you don't have to use this. You're using an actual Arduino software, so you can just keep typing on the Arduino software. So the first line is I have to tell my Arduino that I'm using a library. To do that, I'm gonna put a number sign or hashtag sign, and then type in the word include, no capital, include, and then I open the bracket, and I would put in the name of the library. Again, this is not something that nobody knows. We have searched online, and that's how we know it. It's called liquid crystal.h. Keep in mind that L and C are capital. So it tells Arduino that I am going to use a library called Liquid Crystal. Where is this library? We have already put in the computers before. Your computer understands what we're talking about. In the second line, I need to tell my Arduino how the wires are connected. And again, in your case, you're already putting the LCD right on top of the Arduino. In my case, I have actually done the wiring myself. So don't worry about how it works. All we have to do is we have to tell how the wiring works. So we need to start again saying that liquid crystal, same as the library name. And first, I want to give my LCD a name, or I want to give my liquid crystal a name. I want to call my crystal, liquid crystal, I want to call it my LCD. You don't have to copy this part. You can choose any name you want. So I'm going to call it my LCD. And now in regular brackets or in parentheses, I need to just put a few numbers. So basically I got to tell them which ports I have connected. See, I'm using port 8, 9, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And this has to be in the same order. So you guys got to put in 8, 9, 4, 5, 6, 7. It has to be in this order. Don't worry about what these do. It's just telling the Arduino which ports we are connecting our LCD to, which we already done it for you. Now that I've done these the first two lines, basically first line, I'm telling the Arduino I am going to use a library to make my life easier. The library name is called liquidcrystal.h. The second line, I'm telling my Arduino that I want to start using my LCD as a name, and this is how it's connected to the Arduino. Now that I've done these parts, I need to go inside the setup. So from now on, I'm done with the introducing the LCD or liquid crystal to my Arduino. Now I want to actually start giving a couple of more information to the Arduino, and then I want to start programming it. The first information I want to give, from now on, I'm not going to use the liquid crystal. I'm just going to use the name. So I'm going to say my LCD dot begin, and I'll talk about what it means. So I want to tell my Arduino how many rows and columns I want to use. Remember, the Arduino, the LCD that we are using has 16 columns and 2 rows. Now you might use different LCDs in the future that have 16 columns and 4 rows or less. In my case, it's 16 columns and 2 rows. So I need to say LCD.begin. I'm going to tell my Arduino I'm using 16, 2. That means 16 columns and 2 rows. Because again, how does the Arduino know how many columns and rows are in the liquid crystal? We have to tell them. So now that I've done this, if I just want to put the hello world exactly the way it is, I just have to say start printing it. So I can say again, my LCD. Remember, I'm using this my LCD from now on. My LCD dot print. Print is a command that tells I want to type something on the LCD. And in the brackets, because I want to type a text, I want to type in hello world, I need to put quotation marks. So quotation mark means that I am putting a text in there. So I'm going to put my LCD.print, open bracket, open quotation mark, hello world. Close the quotation mark and close the bracket and semicolon. And remember, I put these in the setup because I want them to only run once. And then after they run once, my Arduino is going to keep looping here, doing nothing. That means it's going to show me these hello world. I could have put them in the loop, but why would I put in a loop? If I run it once, it will continue. I will continue to see it. So now that I've done it, I'm going to go ahead and start my simulation. And let's see. Look at that. I get my hello world written on the LCD. If you don't see it, either there is a programming problem or you made a mistake in the code, maybe syntax, you forgot to do the capitals, or there's issues with the Arduino connections. You got to check with your instructor to see what the problem was.